AstrHori 55.6 75 f4 for the GFX mount. How do these images look? Check them out. As you can tell from the images, surprisingly not that bad. Honestly speaking, when a third-party manufacturer reaches out to me and they say, Bobby, we've got these GFX lenses, you want to try them? More times than not, they're usually full-frame lenses from either Canon EF or Nikon F mount or maybe a Sony E mount from back in the day, which doesn't have the resolving power to handle a medium format sensor up to 100 megapixels. So more times than not, the images are soft, right? But these lenses from AstrHori, to give them credit, actually resolve the sensor quite well. And I was testing them both out on the 100S from Fujifilm. The images looked relatively good. Again, you're gonna need some post-production. You got to sharpen them up a little bit, kind of dehaze depending on your lighting conditions. The image quality is there. And between these two lenses, personally for me, the 75 f4 is the star. I really liked using this lens. Now, manual focus lenses on the GFX system, you might be asking yourself, why would I even get this? Well, some people like that tactile feel. Another thing is price, another thing is weight. Because these lenses do come at a much more affordable price than the GFX lenses out there, the 55.6, which is around 300 plus grams. It's relatively lightweight here on the GFX 100S, so it does make it a nice little walk around lens. For a 55.6, this is a great zone focus shooter right there, as long as you have ample light. But there are some cons of this lens I will talk about in just a bit, but for the most part, for me personally, this 75 f4, it would be the lens I would choose out of the two. Because for me, I'm a 50mm plus shooter. I prefer a longer focal length than, let's say, the 55, which is around 40 to 35 millimeters thereabouts, when you can convert it to full frame. So this is around 60, 55, 60 millimeters when you convert it. So this is where I like to live. And that f4 aperture allows me to shoot in lower light situations. I get the nice depth of field. If I want to do portraiture, this would be the lens I would opt for. Whereas the 55, landscape, urbanscape, street photography, buildings, that would be the lens to go for. But let's talk about one big con on this lens. And I did feed back to AstrHori on this. Again, this is a pre-production lens, so this might change when it does get released. There is some heavy flaring going on in this lens when you hit certain angles of light. So much so it hits you right dead smack center in the image. I thought I had some sort of haze on my lens. I was cleaning it a few times. I'm like, why is this happening? And it turned out it's the way the lens is designed, because the front element is very, very small. It's almost like a pinhole design lens. As a result, I think that flaring, the way that it's hitting into the front element, is causing that massive flare. But when you don't get that lens flare, the image quality is actually pretty good. Is it as good as the 75 f4? I would say they're close, but I'll give the edge to the 75 f4. This is a pre-production lens. It could be improved by the time it launches. So to give them credit, they may be working on this, and I did feed back to them, so who knows? As it stands right now, it's decent, but this lens is actually surprisingly really, really good. Now, there are some things to note about these lenses. The build quality is fantastic. They're all metal construction, really well made. You have a push-on lens hood and it sticks on pretty well. You got a plastic GFX cap on the back. On this 55 though, you have a screw-on lens hood, which does take some time to screw off, as you saw right there. And there's the front element, so you get a sense of what it looks like, and you've been seeing it throughout this video. The apertures on both of these lenses are not clicked apertures, they're declicked. Not sure why, because they're not necessarily cinema lenses. Perhaps it's cost savings, perhaps it's design in the lenses. I've noticed this from a lot of third-party manufacturers. They don't really add that nice tactile click to the aperture that you hoped you would get. Some do, some don't, so teach their own. To give them credit, there's tension on the focus ring and on the aperture ring on both of these lenses, so you can really fine tune your focus and you can really kind of nail down your aperture depending where you want to go. So on the 75 f4, let's go back to this again. It's f4 to 16, but it looks like an extra stop there. It's still f4, doesn't change. There's no difference in the aperture, but it's just a little yellow dot you'll see right there. So it is what it is. I like this lens a lot. 55, not too bad. The flaring though, could be a deal breaker for some people depending on how you use it. But outside of that though, I think that if you're in the market for some third-party lenses and you want to try some different focal ranges and you don't want to break the bank for your GFX system, these might be some lenses to consider out there. And also they do make a lot of full frame lenses as well, some nice tilt shift lenses, which I want to try from AstrHori coming up. So a big thanks to them for sending out the 55 for me to try. Big thanks to my friend Ivan Joshua Lowe for allowing me to try his 75 f4. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Are these lenses you're looking to pick up? Are you interested in these lenses? Any questions, I'll try to answer them for you. With that, guys, if you can, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, stay safe, and I will chat to you soon. Take care.